Okay, hey guys, Sam back here with you on Thursday, October 4th. Next up, by request amongst our Trade Devils members here, is a look at Tesla. So I've got Tesla up here. Here's the daily chart. It's kind of interesting, right? So interesting technically. So here, certainly we can say we've got pretty good top line up here of resistance. This is called 380 to 390, pretty substantial resistance. So of course we all know that Elon got a little loose with his tweets and smoked a blunt, and we've had all this craziness. So where are we? Is there a count here that we can work with that has any meaning to us? Well, so as I look at this, it's hard not to look at that as a 1-2. So we've got all the subdivision. You got 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. All of it's there. Right? This pretty substantial pivot here as a one wave. Then we get the very nice, right? That's a deep B, no doubt about it. But we get an A, B. Down we come for the C. So of course, again, I've just wicked off the absolute lowest low where it's traded, and I'm just like, so 50 and targets have all been hit. So the buyers here have been paid and they're out of the market. So now you look and you go, okay, 1, 2. What do we do with this mess? So with that level here clearly established, well, it does look like we go yet again 1, 2, following the 1, 2, just what you'd anticipate. Now it's a little tricky here in that you got a couple of choices. So one thought is that you might have 3 here and 4 is in, and that you had 5 complete here. I don't think that fits as well for a couple of reasons. One, you're allowing for this double top here. Yes, granted, we do get a new high here. You do have the subdivision here. But if we look at, so granted, we have the benefit of hindsight now, so that would have been easy to have been looking at that as a completed one wave. So the thought would have been that the 1 was in here and that we had some sort of a correction going on. What strikes me as the problem with that is that we have this very clear 5 here. So it doesn't fit in that context. So I'm more inclined to do it this way, thinking we've got our 5 over here, that this was the 3, 4, 5 of the third wave. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. So this would be, let's see, I sort of blew, oh yeah, pardon me. So this would be over here. All right, so this is our 3, meaning of course, with that overlap of the 1, that we're trading this as a diagonal. So this top, so more in line with a diagonal, would be a double top. So if we've got 1, 2, 3, A, B, C down for the 4, creating the diagonal, well, so we'd be finishing with an ending diagonal, right? So here's the 1 wave getting overlapped by the 4. So this leading diagonal looks more likely to be a 1 than finishing the 5. So it creates a problem. If this were the 5 and this were, so if we had done 1, 2, I suppose you could make a case that you could have 1, 2 again. But that's a mighty deep 2, right? So is it possible? Sure, yep, that's possible. So either it's a leading diagonal or an ending diagonal. I'm more inclined to go with this count here because I like this better as a 2. So if that's the 2, that means we'd have completed the 3, 4, and 5 up here. So if that's complete, just like any completed 5-wave structure, we're just going to pull from swing low to swing high, see what we did. Well, we've come a couple of jabs through the 50. So I think there's a reasonable case to be made. Well, so there could be more down here. We don't know yet. So this could be just the B has gone in and the C is yet to come. So that will confirm this count if we were to take out this pivot, right? So that we would then in turn be looking at this as a completed 5-wave structure. So if we take that out, what is that pivot there at 244? Well, then we're looking for our ABC to be playing in here, so something along these lines to give us, and we don't know where that bottoms, but that's the candidate there, that would be ABC. So let me open that up a little bit more. So it doesn't look like we make the 50 here. Well, just shy of it. So here becomes your target right here at the 65 golden zone. So you have a candidate here now for this to be playing as an A, B, and potentially now there's a C here. So you'd have an algo target down here with if we break that low, then we can be fairly confident that we don't have 1, 2. So we'd lean into this as an ending diagonal, completing this next degree larger 1 wave. So squeezing that back in so you could see it. So that would potentially be the 1, the 2 going in of the, so 3, 4, and 5. So it implies still higher prices yet to come, of course, right? So if this is 1, 2, we're just putting in the 1 wave of the 3rd wave. So you think about where that could be going. That would put your 3rd wave. So if we just do it, so taking the length of the entire 1 wave, right on there, get on there, projected from the 2. Right, highest probability zone right here between the 1618 and the 175. So how are we going to get there? Well, let's move all this. So these just placeholders, So if we're going to get there, so this all yet has to get played out. So this, whatever am I here? I'm into July of 2019. So all of this can still plenty of time for that to unfold. So if that's 1, 2, and we've just done the 1, 2 of the big 3. Well, there's a lot of upside still yet to come on the assumption that we're going to hold here. And we're not going to take out this low, which would invalidate the entire count. But that's 139, so that's a long way down. So let's get back here. So looking at that, so this would be, you know, all of this, that likely is going to be significant both as support and resistance. So it held here, interestingly, held here, got through it. Now, is that potentially some resistance yet again? Could be. So I would be, what are we there? That's 293 seems to be a significant level to the market. So I'd be those are always good things to do, just wicking off these significant pivots here. We've already been through this. So I do think that there's a reasonable trade to consider once we get through this correction here. I'd be looking down here so that it certainly makes sense as a 1, 2, anywhere from the 50 to the 786. So this could be lower. I just am lining it up here with the algo target sitting right at the golden zone. So we'll see if we can get through that, but that's the kind of thing where you might have the 65 might be the front run as the buying algos kick in prior to getting to that target. Very reasonable, very reasonable to anticipate that. So again, as it sits here now, is there a trade? Well, it's, again, I look at this and say too late for the sell, right? If you were trading that as an AB, it's too late to sell it, too soon to buy it. So if you were looking to be a buyer, I'd just tee it up, right, from swing low to swing high, get it right on there. Get this guy down just a hair. So I'd be looking here in the golden zone. That's the next reasonable place to be looking. So you have a bit of confluence. So you have your algo target just below the 65. So if you wanted to include that, that would complete that pattern. That would set us up for a potential 2 wave here that would lead to, well, of course, this golden zone has this target right here. So that's the next opportunity that I see. Rather than be a short seller here, I'd be looking for the buy side at the golden zone, looking for a minimum. So there's your minimum target here. Would put us at new highs at 443. Now that stays valid until we break this pivot. Right, so here's a 786, 887. That's still technically we could have a 2. The odds we reduce the odds as we go much lower than that. So still definitely possible. But if we break that, then game over. Then maybe this is just a big ABC. Right, and then the whole thing would have to start again at lower prices. So this is the next area in here at 234 that I'd be paying attention to. So simple stuff, right? I would just, so this little low, so I would just put a little alert to be notified if I take out this low. I want to know about that. So as we approach that 618, I'd want to get an alert that was coming and see what that looked like as a potential buy. So 1, 2, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, yet still teed up. So all suggesting higher prices still yet to come. All right, so that's what I see there. So I'd be patient on this, right? We've got a lot of volatility in the market today. Everything's selling off today. But that's certainly something to pay attention to if we come down here into this 240 range. Anything around 240 would be the next opportunity to be a buyer. There's not a lot of help from the market geometry. I did look at this. It does seem to be containing the market fairly well. So if I look at the 1, 2, then let's go back to auto, right? So we get this dialed in right on it. Right, so this looks like we've got some geometry here that's containing the market. So we're certainly within it. Now we're not getting pivot reaction. So here was the first. So here, well, so look here. So here's the, let's see if I can do it this way. So you did have a corner pocket here. So from this corner, right to this. So this is a good example. Okay, so here we are at the 50. So here's the example. Often you'll see me talk about that if this pivot holds, we have 80% probability of making the median line. So we don't know when it hits, right? So this is a leading indicator. Well, this gets there in a hurry, right? So there's the corner pocket realized. Right now it's a tad below the 50. It's not a golden corner pocket, but it's a corner pocket nonetheless. So here it is. We get a pivot here just below the 50. If that pivot holds, 80% probability of making the median line. Right, made it here again here. Now we're to and through. Back to return, hover. Now we're back down to the lower parallel. So you can see this seems to be holding the market's range fairly well. Right, so you can note here, well, if we break this, wait a minute, are we getting bearish? Well, it's not uncommon to have a move outside of that, so I'd put the 1.5 on. So again, it's a function of when do we get there. So anywhere in this range, I think that still looks attractive. So that's what I'd be looking at. Can't help but love the company, love the car. If you've ever ridden in one, it's pretty remarkable. So again, what does that have to do with the trading? Shit, you can love the car and hate the technicals and hate the chart, but I do think that's an opportunity to be a buyer. So that's what I've got there. Again, give us a follow on Twitter. You can always get more information on this approach and applying this methodology to any asset class. Doesn't matter what you trade. They all trade exactly the same way. There's no different one to the next, right? So don't be overly. Well, let me do what you like, but I would encourage you not to be overly stubborn about staying crypto only. There's just chart's a chart, right? What do you care, right? As long as it's volatile, you can get in and out easily. There's good liquidity. You don't have to worry about your stops getting filled. Right. I mean, don't be a crypto purist just a bit out of stubbornness. Right. There's plenty of opportunity. Once you learn this methodology, the underlying asset does not matter even the slightest bit. Once you learn to do this, you can do this on any asset. So wherever the mojo is flowing, right? You want to go into weed stocks. This plays just as well on weed stocks. Right. You want to be in Tesla. You want to be in the high flyers. You want to be in the FANG stops. Same thing. Always. You'll find the exact same thing. Right, keep that in mind. All right, guys, I'll wrap it there.